Picture this: ordinary American high school kids. No gangs, no guns, no cartel connections. Just two nerds who watch Scarface on cable TV, play video games, build computers, and dream about not living in their mom's basement forever. Now imagine these same teenagers, 1 year later, becoming the most successful marijuana smugglers in the United States, evading the DEA, the FBI, and Border Patrol. They'll smuggle 17,000 pounds of weed, make over $32 million, build a criminal empire, and then lose everything because of jealousy, greed, bad decisions, girlfriends, pills, and absolute stupidity. This is not fiction. This is not Hollywood. This is real. And if you love deep dive crime stories like this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment so the algorithm knows we're just getting started. Now sit back, because this story is wild. 2001 year, Idaho City, a state known for potatoes, mountains, and quiet lives. Not exactly the birthplace of criminal masterminds. But here lives 19-year-old Nate Norman, a Pizza Hut delivery kid, sleeping in his mom's basement, with no plan, no college future, and no idea that his life is about to flip upside down. One evening, Nate and his best friend Topher are sharing a joint and flipping through High Times magazine, the holy Bible of marijuana enthusiasts. And Nate stumbles upon an article that changes everything. In 2001, Canada legalized medical marijuana. British Columbia grows the best weed in North America, and Idaho is just a few hours from the border. Nate freezes, looks at Topher, and says the words that start their entire legend. "Dude, we should become international drug smugglers." Topher laughs, then realizes Nate is dead serious. And somehow, so is he. Two nerds, one insane idea, and a criminal empire is about to be born. But big ideas need money, and the two boys have none. Topher sells an old boat he once pulled out of a lake. He gets $1,400. That becomes their starting capital. They drive to Canada, terrified, clueless, excited. They look for dealers, follow rumors, wander into shady bars. Eventually, they meet Frankie, an elderly man who claims he has the best BC bud you'll ever find. And what does it cost? Exactly $1,400. Without looking, smelling, or weighing the product, they hand him all their money. Frankie tells them, "Don't open the bag. Cops can smell this stuff a mile away." Yes, they believe him. Nate drives through the border legally. Topher hikes 11 kilometers through grizzly bear country with a backpack full of dope. He makes it across, lights up a joint to celebrate, and immediately realizes they got scammed. Frankie sold them cheap Mexican brickweed, not British Columbia bud, not premium, not even good. Lesson number 1. Don't trust anyone in the drug game, especially friendly old Canadian men in bars. But hey, weed is weed. And with teenage buyers everywhere, they still manage to sell it. A friend named Scuzz helps distribute it. They double their investment. And now Nate knows one thing for sure. The business model works. Now Nate is thinking far bigger. He remembers the cop who pulled them over for speeding and casually said, "If you're looking for the good stuff, go to Nelson, not Creston." A police officer just gave directions to the weed capital of Canada. And in Nelson, inside hydroponic shops, Nate finally meets real growers. Real British Columbia bud. The stuff from High Times magazine. Now, the operation becomes professional. White heavy checkmark, Nate drives the cash to the border. White heavy checkmark Topher puts on camouflage and hikes several miles into Canada. White heavy checkmark, he hands over a bag of money and receives a bag full of premium BC weed. White heavy checkmark, then he hikes back to Idaho. White heavy checkmark, Nate picks him up, distributes to Scuzz. White heavy checkmark, and Scuzz sells to hundreds of local dealers. Topher makes $1,000 per run. Nate pockets over $150,000. Soon they recruit more kids. Whole groups of teenagers camouflage themselves and march across the forest like some bizarre Boy Scout cartel. They carry $400,000 in cash in backpacks. At night, across the border, What started as two nerds with a magazine article becomes a full-blown smuggling network. A teenage cartel. At first, they promised no girlfriends, no fancy spending, no showing off, no guns. That lasted about 5 minutes. Because suddenly, these kids who used to split gas money are millionaires. Nate buys a mansion with 8 bedrooms, diamond chains, giant rims, a separate house just for storing cash, boats, ATVs, stereos, studio time to record terrible rap songs, and a stripper girlfriend named Buffy. Scuzz, once living in his mom's basement, buys a lakeside house. Topher begs Nate to slow down, to stop drawing attention. But Nate responds, "I'm not quitting until the cops arrest me. And even then, I'll hire the best lawyers." The empire grows bigger, the risks grow bigger, and paranoia creeps in. One night, runners almost walk right into a sleeping DEA agent in the woods. Another night, they get lost in a blizzard and nearly freeze. Nate installs explosives in the cars, just in case the cops pull them over. This isn't a goofy teenage adventure anymore. It's a full-scale criminal operation run by children, acting like they're in Grand Theft Auto. But Nate isn't the only teenage smuggler in town. Enter Wong. Real name, Brandon Butler. Born in Korea, adopted in the US. A gifted violin player, honor student, straight A kid, until he discovers opioids and flips from orchestra geek to full-blown gangster. He drives a Cadillac Eldorado, runs his own weed pipeline, and he's ambitious. Too ambitious. He wants complete control of the Idaho market, and Nate is standing in his way. Wong hires his former roommate Giovanni to kill Nate. He promises $100,000, but never pays the $5,000 advance. Giovanni decides to rob Scuzz instead. Then, when Wong again refuses to pay, Giovanni snaps. Wong leads him into the forest to show where Nate's body should be buried someday. Giovanni grabs him from behind, chokes him, strangles him, slits his throat to hide fingerprints, and leaves the body in the very place he planned to bury Nate. Wong is gone, and the war between teen drug lords has its first corpse. Nate is terrified, moves out, hides at Buffy's house, gets into a wreck and breaks both arms, wins a new addiction to painkillers, sleeps with a gun under his pillow. Meanwhile, the police find Wong's body, and when they dig into his life, they discover the truth. He was a major dealer, and his biggest competition? Nate Norman. At the same time, many of Nate's dealers get busted, with cash, with weed, with guns, and all of them tell the cops the same thing: call Nate. He'll bail us out. That's when the FBI realizes there is a single mastermind behind the operation. They start closing in, and Nate does the most unexpected thing. He walks into a police station and surrenders. Agents can't believe it. They expected a cartel leader. Instead, they see a kid who looks like he should be doing algebra homework. They thought the operation moved 2,500 pounds. Then they run the numbers. Actual amount, 17,000 pounds. Total earnings, over $32 million. This wasn't just teenage crime. This was one of the largest marijuana smuggling operations in U.S. history. The verdicts: Giovanni, life in prison for murdering Wong. Scuzz, 2 years. Topher, 2 years. Nate Norman, 12 years. Nate is released in 2013. He now runs a legal HVAC, heating and cooling, business, and lives quietly. Topher is tragically killed in a 2019 shooting, and the story becomes a dark reminder. One day, you're a harmless nerd. The next, you're a millionaire drug lord. And the day after that, you might be dead. The rise and fall of Nate Norman is a story of ambition, greed, stupidity, and luck. A story of how a magazine article turned 2 kids into millionaires, and then into criminals. They achieved what entire cartels couldn't. They beat the system until they defeated themselves. If you enjoyed this documentary-style breakdown and want more insane real-life stories like this one, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments what case you want next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.